You look just so youthful.
It's the lighting in here,
That
man.
must be it.
I mean,
must be the lighting.
this is some serious lighting in here.
It's good lighting, but I feel like you look younger than me.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate the compliments nonetheless.
It's the fountain of youth is the gym. Look at this.
Yeah, well, look, we've always been, gym rats, the guys in the group, and I think it's diet more than anything. You know, people ask me all the time. I'm appreciative that they'll say, even if they're lying, they'll say, "Oh, you look so young for 58 years old." And then I'm like, "Wow, thanks." And then they ask really what it is, and I think it's more diet than exercise. I think it's a combination of both. But
by the way, he's not 58.
No, getting there though.
No, you're not.
I'm going to be 49 this year.
Okay, that's a long way off from 58.
Well, at this point, it's all about the same. It's elderly, is it not?
Oh my gosh, stop it! I'm 10 years behind that. So you were joking about 58. I'm 38.
Yeah, wow.
You're actually 48.
That's right. I'm 10 years older than you, man. Jeez.
And then you were trying to age yourself another 10 years.
That's right. Well, it all feels the same at this point. No, I feel great. And, like I said, I think it's more diet and than exercise. But both is definitely.
What is your diet?
It's keto. I've been on a version of low carb for, I want to say since like 97, 96.
Before it even had a name.
I mean, it was Atkins. It was the Atkins diet, and then it evolved into the keto diet, which is more fat than anything. So when people go, "Well, what are you going to do for your diet?" and I'm like, "Well, it's a high fat diet." And they're like, "Oh, your cholesterol is probably..." And no, I'm like, "No, all my profiles and stuff check out." So.
Well, people don't realize that you get a lot of energy from fats.
That's right.
People who have never done the diet before.
Yeah, you know all about it. So, I mean, it definitely can, and that's one of the reasons I stay on it. Obviously, it's to stay lean and feel good and all that stuff, but, the grind of this business and the traveling and all that stuff and the total lack of sleep, the diet gives me a lot of energy.
Are you still in that grind now?
Yeah, really, really am. And it's not necessarily mostly touring, but we do still tour a lot. I mean, we were doing pre-pandemic about 60 shows a year. So we were doing the weekend stuff so we could be home with our families, do other businesses. But it's other businesses. I'm into tech a lot. I'm launching 2 labels. I mean, it goes on and on. I'm into TV. I'm doing some documentaries. I mean, it's just trying to keep busy, yeah.
Because I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people go, "Well, I haven't heard a 98 Degrees song in a long time."
Right.
Those guys must just be doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, except for the diehard fans that come see us. I mean, we've been touring pretty prolific in a prolific manner for, I would say, almost since 2013, nonstop. And those were tours, proper tours in the beginning. We did our first comeback tour was with New Kids and Boys to Men, which was a big arena tour. And then we did an amphitheater tour, and we did another amphitheater tour, and then we did 2 Christmas tours. And then we were like, look, we have families, and we've done this before. So why don't we figure out a way that we can do both things? Be with our families, do our other businesses, pursue our other interests, and also perform together. So we started doing what we call the weekend warrior things, which allows us to go out on Friday and Saturday, do those dates, and then go home and do our other stuff.
You guys are serving up a giant slice of nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And what's really, really interesting about it is, some of those people are old enough to have kids now, and they're introducing their kids to it. And because there's really nothing in this lane out there, kids you're finding a lot of new fans, which is really, really interesting. It's really strange that I'm seeing teenagers again that are coming to the concerts, and now guys are comfortable with coming to the concert, right? When we were younger, guys hated us. I mean, they wouldn't come to the concert.
I was a 98 Degrees fan.
Well, you're comfortable in your skin. A lot of the guys didn't want to, sort of admit that they like the music. And all it is just, ballads. I mean, everybody loves ballads. But when you have 4 guys that are doing it, and at that time you're considered teen heartthrobs, guys feel a little insecure and uncomfortable being a part of it.
One of my very first high school slow dances was to My Everything.
That makes me feel very good and very bad at the same time.
No, I mean, come on.
Well, it's just so. Well, you said high school, so that's.
I was 16 at that dance, I think. So 15.
That's a while ago. But
you were making music in your 20s.
That's right.
You've been famous for most of your life.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Isn't that weird?
Not weird to me. Maybe it's weird to you.
No, I mean, it's just you never really get used to it, and it's ever evolving. Look, we were really, really, really famous where we
Yeah.
Any place in the world we would go, we would be recognized. And then sort of music changed and our fan base started growing up. And then there was that 10-year pocket there where it was totally uncool to be a part of a group like mine. And then, the nostalgia whipped back into shape, came back, and the fans started coming back in droves, and now it's in vogue again. So
when you say a group like mine, do you not want to use the term boy band?
well, I mean, a boy band is, we love it now because we're middle-aged guys. So to be called a boy band, we're fortunate that happens. But when we first started out, we were a vocal group. We were inspired by Boyz II Men. So when I started the group, I had heard Boyz II Men. I'm like, there needs to be another group like this.
Yeah.
And we started our group like that. It was a vocal group signed to Motown, the whole thing, just like they were. And so we didn't even know what a boy band was. I think the closest thing to a boy band that we might know about in our lifetime would have been New Kids. And certainly we didn't think we were the same as New Kids, not to disparage what they are, but we thought we were different, more R&B and all that stuff. But when we went overseas, that's the first thing because everywhere you look, there's boy bands. It's a 5-part group, a four-part group.
Yeah.
And so they were like, what kind of boy band are you guys? And we're like, what? We're like in our 20s. What are you talking about? And so it wasn't until Backstreet and NSYNC emerged, and then we started, went back to the States, and then all of a sudden we were a boy band. And at first we hated it because the things that go along with a boy band are you don't really sing live, you dance, which we couldn't, and then you were put together by somebody. We put ourselves together, but years later we're honored to be a part of that clique. I mean, that was a really kind of a golden era in music, the late 90s, early 2000s, with Britney and Jessica Simpson and Christina and Ricky Martin and J-Lo. And for us to be a part of that sort of stamped in that era, we're honored.
Where was the shift in the mid-2000s where boy bands weren't a thing anymore?
I want to say literally the year 2002. That was it. I mean, literally radio was done. They're
what
like,
was
that's
it,
it.
though?
Well, look, what happened was there started to be too many of them, right? And the pop era was really crazy. It was a lot of pop, a lot of real bubblegum pop.
Yeah.
And really, radio loved it. It was one of the best times. I mean, I remember talking to the legendary jock radio DJ Rick Dees, and he was like, this is the best radio's ever had it. It was like 98, 99, and CDs were falling off the shelves. And of course, CDs went away. And then, there started to be, O-Town came out then, which those guys are amazing. And really good friends of mine. But then there started to be like My Town and Youngstown, and there were tons that came after that. And then the programmers, which are guys that are traditionally in their 20s and 30s, not necessarily the fan base, they were sick of it. They're like, there are too many things sounding the same. And literally, it seemed as if overnight they were like, we're just saying no more to this type of music. And then they just stopped playing people's records. And so, that's why we all sort of disappeared, with the exception of some outliers like Justin Timberlake.
But he shifted his sound, though.
He did. He shifted more to an R&B Michael Jackson-y kind of thing with his first record.
Yeah.
But nobody else emerged as a big-time solo artist from that era, except for him.
Yeah, and it's funny how each decade has a very defined sound.
Yes.
And I feel like the 2000s were more defined by like the Nickelback, like.
Yeah, it leaned back rock, went more hip hop and R&B again, and then it was the Neptunes were that was the big, they had their big, that was the thing for that era, like the mid to
Hey Ya was a huge song when I was in college.
Yeah, I mean that was that's Outkast.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but that's
that
style,
sort of sound. Yeah, that sort of sound. And they definitely didn't want any more of the Max Martin-y boy band type stuff. Now Max Martin obviously went on and then wrote stuff for everybody, Katy Perry and everybody you can think of, but they definitely were like, we're done doing this. And we could feel it on the road. We went from selling all kinds of crazy tickets and being sold out to all of a sudden like people aren't here. We would go into regions and I'm like, I would look at back then you had the paper magazine version of Billboard. You look in there and you're like, or R&R, which was something that kind of kept track of your spins, and I would go, all right, where are we going? We're going to go to Chicago. Well, B96 isn't playing our record, so you can expect like it to be light at the show, so because the music's a commercial for your brand and your touring. Yeah. So it ended up being a very interesting time, and all of a sudden we're going, wow, all right, we better start thinking about what else we're going to do really quick.
You were in the era where you were performing at malls, and I remember like people would pack every single level.
Well, we performed at malls, but we started out doing cheerleading camps before we got signed. So we couldn't get signed right away, and we didn't, our demo was done, and I think we were trying to get signed. And what we did was we just were like, we ended up, our manager ended up making friends with the head of NCA, and I think it's something, the National Cheerleading Association was something different back then. And he was like, "Look, can we put these guys on a cheerleading camp tour?" So that's how we started. We first went on a cheerleading camp tour. So we rented a Winnebago and drove it ourselves and went from high school camp to college campuses doing cheerleading camps. And literally, it was almost like a PA system, and and it was pretty crazy. But look, you look back at those times and you miss them because it was the very beginning of things. You believed in yourself. And you didn't know where things were going to go. And we had so much fun. There was pressure for us that we put on ourselves, but we were like having such a blast. And then, of course, when you do start to make it, and then all of a sudden, all that pressure's on, it becomes less fun. You really, really are. And we're so serious. We're such serious guys and it was a very competitive landscape, being that we're compared to Backstreet and NSYNC, that we felt like, man, we need to be perfect all the time, or we're gonna lose our spot. And so that's when it became a grind, never getting off the road for several years. But that beginning stuff was a lot of fun.
Were any of the songs from your original demo songs that we ever heard later on?
Yeah, I think a couple of them. There was a song on the demo called "Come and Get It," which was one that Montel Jordan of This Is How We Do It.
Yeah.
He had other songs, but that's his most famous. Montel did our demo tape. And so it was a tape. Yeah, it was a demo tape.
Yeah.
And for those at home that don't know what a tape is, it's Google it. We did a demo in Montel. We had "Come and Get It" on there. We had an a cappella version of "I'll Be Home for Christmas" that ended up making it on our later Christmas album, which did really well. And "Come and Get It" made it on the first record.
Look how different it would be if you were coming up now.
Oh my gosh, totally. I mean, I don't know if we would have. I think we would have been determined to make it, and there's so many vehicles out there, tools with regards to social media that.
And that's what I mean, yeah.
That we could have been exponentially bigger, or it's also ultra congested with regards to so many choices that maybe the things that we did might not have stood out today.
Yeah, well, with TikTok and YouTube, and everybody has a SoundCloud, like there's Instagram, there's all kinds of opportunities. But not unlike your story, it's just about who wants to work the hardest.
Well, that's right, and that always that prevails. The hard work prevails. Talent, unfortunately, is a small fraction of it. It's the work ethic, it's the networking, and I just think that the networking is so very, very important in it, and also it's just this many years later, I think we're around because we worked hard and we made sure that we treated everybody with respect. And I know that sounds really, really corny, but we made it a pact with each other that we were, no matter what happened, how big or small or whatever, we were always going to try to remain humble and treat everybody with respect. So years later, people that were fans are now running corporations and media companies. They're there for us when we need them. So that was really, really important for us.
Well, and you had songs that define, like the story I was telling. You have songs that define people's moments or big moments in their life. How many brides in the early 2000s danced to "I Do"?
I mean, I don't know. And here's the thing. And we knew it was going to be a wedding song, obviously.
It's called "I Do."
Yeah. We incorporate we incorporate wedding into the video, but we had no idea it was going to be that big of a song years later. And I mean, even when we were doing the tours, on a nightly basis, someone will come up and say, "Hey, when you do "I Do," they'll talk to our security and they'll say, "When you do "I Do," can I bring my wife, my future wife, up on stage and propose to her?" Wow. It happens every night.
Does it still happen?
And people actually have gotten married at our shows as well. It happens. It happens every. We have someone do that almost every night.
While you guys are singing, they're getting married?
Well, that's happened before, but really, people propose almost every night.
So what happens?
We'll stop the show and we'll be like, "All right, John, come on up here," and John will come up and he'll go, "Yeah, Janie, I have something to say." And right before I do, then people always freak out. The crowd goes crazy.
I love it.
So I mean, it makes it all worth it.
So what happens if John wants to propose, but also Joe over here has also talked to your security?
We've done it twice. Yeah, we've had two people up there, And then if it gets to more than 2, it's too many people.
You're like, come to the next concert.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be in the city next door.
Or wait next year. We'll be back around.
So when it's 2, how do you do it?
Well, we just let them come up and each of them do it at the same time, or we'll say, hey, these guys would like to say something, and then they'll just get down on a knee and propose at the same time.
And then after they say yes and they hug and kiss, does the song start?
Yeah, the song starts, and sometimes we'll let them stay up on stage and dance.
This is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, that's one of the best parts of the show.
That should be a ticket package at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
if you want to propose, it's an extra $2,000.
Right.
We'll throw in a ring for another.
Wow.
X amount.
You've got the front row tickets. You got the VIP experience.
Yeah.
Then there's
the wedding package.
Yeah, you should seriously do that.
Package it up with a sponsor like a Hawaii trip to Hawaii for the wedding,
for the honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a real business here.
Man, you're hired.
98 degrees wedding planning.
I love it.
This is brilliant. What do you think was the song that put you guys on the map?
Well, look, we had a song called Invisible Man, which was my favorite. It was the first one we ever had.
All I am
that's it.
Is the invisible man.
Sing it, Chris.
I'll sing all your songs.
We've always
for
been
you.
looking for a 5th member, and you definitely fit the mold.
No way.
Well, you're a little too young, but I think Invisible Man came out, but Motown at the time was really trying to convince the public that we were an urban group. So they didn't put our pictures on anything. They wanted people to think we were an R&B group, and that didn't work.
They didn't want you to have music videos?
No. At first, we did a music video, but
you guys are so handsome.
The only place the music video was serviced and played was something called The Box. Do you know what that is?
No. What's the Box?
So The Box was a video channel that was only on UHF. Again,
I know UHF.
People have to Google UHF and VHF. All the regular channels before cable were on VHF, but then there were other channels on UHF. It's kind of like AM radio, and there was a video channel called The Box, and literally you could call in and give a number of the video that was on a list, and they would play it, and that's the only place. No, and obviously nobody watched that. So we didn't break on the first song. It was Because of You was the song that actually.
But I remember Invisible Man on Much Music.
Yeah,
in Canada.
that's right. Well, Much Music, they played it. So we actually broke in Canada before we broke in the U.S. We didn't break here, although the song performed well. We went up to Canada. We talk about the Winnebago. We wrapped our pictures on a Winnebago. We drove up through Canada. We literally drove up to where Backstreet Boys were performing, where they were selling tickets and girls were waiting in line.
Yeah.
We'd drive up in our bus. They would freak out and wonder if we were another Backstreet Boys. We'd get out. We'd sing a cappella. And what happened was Much Music heard about it, and they sent their crew down to interview us. And when that happened, we blew up overnight. I mean, we had been struggling for over a year to get notoriety and get recognized and get on the map. But once they did that, we exploded in Canada, and then we went platinum there right away. And we took the momentum for that, went to Southeast Asia, blew up there, and then all of a sudden the label was like, maybe we should like show these guys on TV or put them on the magazine covers and all that stuff. And then that's when we really started getting going.
And then what was the next song?
Because of You Blow Us Up, and then I think the next one after that might have been The Hardest Thing. And then I Do was the...
Don't make me start singing again.
Come on, man, do it.
No.
And then the last one was I Do on that record, and that's when, if you have 3 songs, it used to be if you have 3 songs on an album, you're going to go, multi-platinum. There was a formula to it back then.
Do you still get residuals now?
Well, we never got residuals ever, so... No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Yeah, of course you do. You get residuals, when those songs... And they're not a lot. If you're not the songwriter... You get some points on the song as an artist, and it used to be a lot different back then, and it was really kind of nominal. You would use CDs and albums as a driver for your touring and your merchandise. I mean, you really didn't make, unless you wrote all the songs, and which we didn't, although we were songwriters. The label wouldn't let us get any of our songs on there. Unless you wrote the songs, you made a little bit of money on the CDs, but in albums, and then you'd really make good money on the road.
Isn't this why every band has a Christmas album?
That's right.
Because every 12 months, it's going to get played on the radio.
Yeah, that's right. A Christmas album's an annuity, right? It's never going to go away. But the other part of it is Christmas music is public domain before a certain year. So that's why if you do your own version of it, and your own arrangement of it, then you can claim publishing on it. So that's where you can actually become a writer and publisher of the song.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that's another reason. It's a good moneymaker.
So many artists have a Christmas album.
And that's why.
There's our reason.
Yeah. No, it's because they want to spread holiday cheer.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. Yeah. I do people still get married to I Do?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. They propose, like I said, every
at the
show there's
concert,
somebody
sure.
that does it.
But-
Do they get married to it? Yeah, all the time. There was somebody that was putting together a hosting reel for me to host a show, and part of it was it was a wedding thing, and so they wanted to show how many people get married. So somehow this producer went on and scoured the internet and put together this little 1.5-minute reel of all of these people that use that as their wedding song.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say that you were doing other things to try to get discovered, and the Winnebago in Canada was what finally made it happen, what were some of the other things?
Well, I mean, when we first started, we used to sing a cappella for food, for money, because we were starving artists. So we would
literally starving.
Yeah,
artists.
literally. So we would sing on street corners. We would sing on 3rd Street Promenade in L.A. My very first group before 98 Degrees, we went up to San Francisco and would sing for hours on Fisherman's Wharf, drop the hat. We would enter talent contests. We did everything you could possibly do at that time, because there was no social media. I know that's so hard to believe that didn't even exist. There were no cell phones and any of that stuff, and not even really much with regards to email stuff. And we would just sing in front of anybody and everybody that would listen.
Yeah, if someone was sharing your music back in the day, they were physically taking your CD and passing it off to someone.
Yeah, or taking a 2-deck tape recorder and dubbing the tape and passing it to somebody.
Or recording it off the radio.
Yeah, off the radio. And that's what I did in the beginning.
I did that a ton. I would wait for the top 6 at 6 or the top 7 at 7, and I would hit the play and record at the same time.
That's what I did. I was in in where I'm from in Ohio, you have basements. In California, they don't have basements. I don't think they have basements here in Vegas and in Nevada. But we had a basement, and in the basement, I would listen to the radio all night. And that's when I heard Boyz II Men for the first time, and I was like, "What is that? I don't know what that is, but I need to hear that again." And so that's when you couldn't just just Google it up, look it up on YouTube, go on iTunes. You literally had to wait until the radio played it again, and I wanted to hear it so bad. I called you call the radio station all night, request it, and I waited all night for them to play it again, and it finally came on, and pressed the tape recorder, listened to it, and studied it, listened to it over and over and over again. It's just so weird how things have changed. I see my youngest daughter just music smorgasbord, whatever they want to hear, whenever they want to hear it, it's at their disposal. And I was like, it didn't used to be like this. They have no concept.
Of course. I mean, we act like social media has always been around.
Yeah.
But Facebook's 15-ish years old. Yeah. Instagram's 10-ish years old. Yeah. Well, I guess for some people that's their entire life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, they've grown up with it. So that's all they know.
What year or what month did I Do drop?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember.
I think it was like this summer, I believe.
You probably know better than I do. It's been so long.
And the reason I'm asking is because I remember recording off the radio. And that was the #1 song in the top 7 at 7. And the DJ was coming off the song going, "It's the song of the summer." I Do.
I love it.
And I was, because I would always replay the song off the tape, and I would always hear his voice
that guy saying it. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, they probably released it, if it was summertime, they probably released it, I don't know, probably end of spring, because it used to take like 2 or 3 months for it to get going. I mean, you couldn't just go, all right, I put it on and it's got 1 billion streams in one day. It's like, all right, you got to build it up. You got to go visit all the radio stations. Every time you have a single come out, you got to do all the radio shows, and then your song would build up, and then, hopefully be a hit.
If people don't recognize you from your face when they see you out, do they immediately recognize the tattoo?
Sometimes. I mean,
it's on full display here. Look at that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
look at these guns. Jeez.
Wow. Boom.
Oh my God.
There was a time when I didn't.
What are you hiding them for? Come on.
When I was embarrassed of the tattoo. Because when the music sort of went away and it wasn't cool to be in a quote unquote boy band, and I became a music producer and started, becoming a family man, and the group wasn't doing anything for those 10 years. I mean, people would nail me for the tattoo.
Really?
So I was embarrassed of it for a long time, believe it or not.
You were just wearing
so,
long sleeves?
So I would wear long sleeve shirts.
Wow.
And then, I was married before, and then I got divorced, and I met my current wife, and she said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, you're in one of the biggest groups of all time. Why are you so embarrassed by that? You should be proud of it." And I thought to myself, I'm like, yeah, I should be proud of it. I mean, it's so strange. Why would you care what the public thinks about something that you created in your basement in your house and ended up touring the world and selling millions of records? So I guess there's a certain, as crazy as it is, there's a certain humility that comes along with it. It's strange being in this business because you're the brand. You have to go out there and you have to be on display. And in order to really react to fans, you have to look good. And I didn't get the tattoo for the brand. I got the tattoo because it was my group, like any rock group would do. And I had no idea. I was hoping we would blow up, but I never thought about it as it's sort of an advertisement for the group. And so, it has sort of a cheesy component to it, but I don't care anymore.
Do all 4 members have the tattoo?
No, I was the only one. Well, Nick and I got ours at the same time, and he had his in his son, and I think he filled his in at some point, and
How dare
covered his up too.
How
he
dare
permanently covered his up. But
what about the other guys?
No, the other guys didn't. No, Justin doesn't get tattoos, and Drew didn't want to get the 98 degrees logo on his arm. So
did you ever think about getting it covered up or removed?
yeah, I mean, I thought, well, yeah, back when we were done, and maybe about the first or second year in, when I'd walk into Guitar Center and the guys were like, "Oh my God, look at the 98 degrees guy," and I'm thinking, yeah, and you're still working at Guitar Center, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Not that there's anything with a
you didn't say that.
Guitar
You're like,
Center worker.
Yeah, I'm a multi-platinum selling out artist.
But it's just like, you kind of go, all right, at least I tried, at least I went out there and did it. So, but
maybe you didn't just try; you succeeded, like beyond your wildest imagination.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard for look, and so I had thought about doing it, and then I was like, I walked out of there and was like, man, this isn't cool anymore. And then that's when my wife sort of hit me over the head and said, hey, this is something you should be really proud of. I think the statistics are 1 in 55 million people sell that many records, as many as we did. So the odds are long, and whether it's lucky or whether it's hard work or you're blessed or it's a combination of all those things, I should be proud of it, and I am this many years later.
What were you going to cover it up with?
I don't know. You can kind of turn it into a Mickey Mouse if you look at it. If you get rid of just the stem of the 9, it turns into a Mickey Mouse. But no, I don't know. I'd thought about it for a little while, and I didn't do it. And I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad you didn't either.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like as the honorary 5th member
That's
of
right.
the band now.
Yeah, well, now you have to get the tattoo. See how you like it.
I don't have any tattoos.
Oh, you don't? Yeah.
No.
Oh, cool. All right. I got it.
I don't know. I'm not opposed to them.
Yeah. You just haven't had something that you really, really care about to put on your body for the rest of
I haven't
eternity.
I haven't had something that's made me millions and millions of dollars like you that I've wanted to, put on my body for the rest of my life.
That's funny.
I don't know. I could put the Insight logo on my arm, perhaps.
I mean, there you go. That's a great looking logo.
It's a great logo, but it's not a great tattoo.
It's simple.
I don't think.
I think so. It kind of looks like the old New York Giants logo. I don't know if you're too young to
I know
probably
what you're
remember
talking
that
about.
one too, but it's got the similar colors and the same font.
A little bit. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who are coming up in the industry now? Because it has shifted so much.
Well, I think it's the same. I mean,
Okay.
the tools are different.
Mm-hmm.
You have more tools at your disposal, but it's always the same. I think it's work hard. Work harder than everybody else, right? Self-belief is a big thing because self-confidence, self-belief. Because look, nobody's going to believe whether they say they are or not, and that could be friends, your family members, people, your management. Nobody's going to believe in you as much as yourself. Period. And in fact, a lot of people that are closest to you will root against you because you're stepping out on a limb that they would have loved to have tried, but maybe not have taken the risk to do it. So there are people that are close to you that are maybe secretly envious. And so I think that self-belief is very important because people go, oh, are you really going to try that? Or if you're out for a while, or when's it going to happen? They're going to put like subtle subconscious reminders that you haven't made it yet. But if you stick with it, it's only a matter of time. And I think humility is the other one. Stay humble, work hard, self-belief. And then I think that, surround yourself with good people. And that is the hardest thing to do because it's an industry filled with vultures. But you can find good people. When you start to discard bad people, then the good ones start to flock to you suddenly, and then you
Yeah.
surround yourself with a good team, and that's really, really important.
What about getting your music played? Because when you guys were coming up, it was about getting on radio stations.
Right.
I don't know if that really matters as much anymore.
Well, a lot of people say it doesn't, but it ends up being like the icing on the cake at the end of the day. I think that obviously you want to drive people. What's great about today is you don't have to be a massive superstar to make money from your music. You can have a small fan base, and if you curate your music to cultivate that fan base, you can have a cottage industry for yourself and do music, something you love forever if you do it the right way and market
Right.
it the right way. So I would encourage you to understand your fans that you do have when you finally get them and cater to them. And I know obviously there are people who are like, I'm an artist, I need to evolve, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a business out of your music, you got to really care what the fans want and cater to the fans. And then, obviously the streaming stuff is a mystery to everybody. The algorithms change, what works, what doesn't with Spotify and Pandora and Amazon and whatnot. But I think that the most important thing is to put, good content on all the social platforms, curate it often, don't do it too much, and find out what that sweet spot where fans are engaged and keep them engaged and interested. And then getting back to the things you talked about in the beginning, what will set you apart is doing the grassroots stuff. Find out a way to do a mall tour, a House of Blues tour, or something real and inexpensive that's not going to cost you a lot. Or you can get a sponsor if you have enough fans to just go out and break even, but really get people to see you in person and be accessible in person and do things in person that'll set you apart from the masses that end up being stuck in some sort of algorithm that's on the up next on a playlist to set you apart.
I have a theory. That TikTok is like the new radio, because songs can go viral on TikTok in the same way that songs would get played on the radio.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The TikTok phenomenon, they're actually now dictating the hits. And I'm developing 2 new labels. One's a dance label called Aria Records in tandem with In Grooves at Universal, and then the other one's called Cafe Records, which is going to be a really strong independent label. There's an emerging artist named Vara Gianna right now who's going to come out. I think her first single drops March 18th maybe, and she's incredible. And one of the things that when I was talking and kind of searching for label partners, for distribution partners on the label side of things, they were like, you got to get the TikTok numbers going and get things going viral with TikTok, because really that's kind of dictating what to a lot of labels what the next song is.
Yeah.
And then those songs, once you get on radio still, I love radio still and TV still, because those still make you official. That's why, look, folks are trying to go on the talk shows still, right? Because that solidifies their stardom. To be in power rotation on top 40 radio, there's only 10 or 15 artists that are in that rotation instead of a million or millions that are online. Then that sort of reinforces what's cool, dictates what the cool is.
It's that idea that perception is reality.
And that's the whole thing. It's a marketing all this stuff's a marketing tool for your music, right?
Yeah, like if a YouTuber can get millions of views on their own video and maybe only 500,000 views by going on Jimmy Kimmel, there's something big about going on Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon.
Right.
And you want to be able to say, hey, look.
I went on Fallon, because look, they only have a limited guest list and they only put stars on there. Or if you get on the award shows, all that stuff still means that's what's cool. You can have millions and still make tons of money off of your spins and your views on streams online, which is great, but people are going to go, oh yeah, it's a niche-y kind of thing still, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it's the crossover. I think it's the best of both worlds that I think really are going to cultivate the next crop of stars.
Journaling's a really big thing for you, right?
Yeah. No, I've been doing that for a long, long time.
We talked about this last time. I think that a lot of people, that was a big nugget that a lot of people took out of that.
Yeah, and people kind of have lost track of that. Look, there are a lot of self-help books which people go, oh, that's the woo, that's the cosmic stuff, the secret stuff. But there is something about manifesting things that you want in your life by writing them down, because what it does is it trains your subconscious to somehow attract them to you by you changing your behavior in certain ways. You're conditioning yourself. Maybe it's not the universe bringing it to you, but maybe it's you conditioning yourself and making yourself more available for opportunities to come your way or to recognize them. So I journaled early on when I was in another group and from Ohio, and those guys, they all quit, and I was in LA and I didn't want to quit. And so I got an odd job and was working security, and I just started writing down my goals, and I read a Tony Robbins book, and it was pretty
Awaken the Power Within?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Awaken the
Giant Within.
Actually, both of them. It was Personal Power and Awaken the Giant.
I was trying to make them one title
Well,
together.
I think he's made several versions, so that just might be one now where he's combined them.
I was listening to the audiobook of that.
Yeah, it's incredible, but it's, you go, oh, well, this is kind of common sense. And really what it does is just, it sort of trains yourself to remind yourself what your goals are. And he said, write all these lofty goals and a time frame on what you're going to do them. And, and don't hold back, right? Don't be afraid to let yourself dream about what you want to have. And what you do is you create this visual to go along with it in your mind's eye. And, I wrote down these crazy goals, and I was in a security office, and it didn't look too bright. My group would quit. I didn't have a group. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have a record. I didn't have anything except dreams. And then,
what were you writing down specifically?
Well, look, my first one, honestly, I remember sitting in this office. I was working in security at Phil Collins' house. His estate was being built.
Wow.
He wasn't there, and I was working in security, and I had 12-hour shifts. I worked 8 at night till 8 in the morning, very long shifts, boring. And every hour I had to go patrol this enormous estate and then go sit back in there and just listen to Kiss FM in L.A. And I, my first one, I was like reading it, and I'm like, okay, let me see. All right, number one, get a group. That was the first one. Then it was get management. And then it was, get a record deal. And then it was have a record on the radio. Then it was have a top 40 hit. Then have a top 10 hit. Have a number 1 hit. And then it bounces all over from those goals and dreams, and then to physical stuff that you want to do with your body, and then other things like your house and jet skis, and everything that you could dream about, you put in this thing, and then be nominated for a Grammy. Go on tour. Sell 1 million records, sell 5, sell 10, and then it was go around the world. And I'm going, man, it's crazy. But then as I'm writing it down, I'm seeing it all happen right in my mind, and there's just something about it. And look, every single one of those things came true. There wasn't one on that list that did not come true within 2 years.
This makes me feel like we're in some sort of a simulation.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Well, because if the idea is that if you can put these things out into the world, that you start to attract them into your life. That does sound like woo-woo stuff.
It does.
But everybody who's accomplished anything great will tell you that's exactly how it's happened for them.
There's a lot of people that do that say that, and then there's a lot of people that have done transcendental meditation, which is another thing I'd like to see, not to get too, new agey or whatever, but a lot of these ultra successful guys like Jerry Seinfeld and Howard Stern practice I meditate, but I don't know what the specifics are about TM, but I've noticed that a lot of extraordinarily successful people practice that as well.
I think that there's always these common themes with successful people.
Yes, I agree.
And meditation's always one of them, but transcendentals.
Yeah, that's the one I've been hearing a lot lately with reading about with successful people. I just haven't had time to go to a class and get my word and whatever that is. I guess the generic one's Om or whatever, and then some guru gives you your own word and they do it. I mean, it sounds like a woo thing, but look, if it works, why not try it? It doesn't hurt anybody. It's supposed to be good for your mind and your body. So
I've talked to enough people on this show where it's like all of the most successful people do some form of journaling, some form of meditation, some form of fitness, and some form, which we bring it right back around to the start of this conversation, some form of watching their diet too, and then a bunch of other things as well. But I think success leaves clues. That's a Tony Robbins quote there for you.
That's right. Success does leave clues. I mean, it's exactly right. And other people do vision boards as well. They're visual people. They like to sit there and put their dream house and stuff and on a board and look at it. And I know that look, a lot of people go, that doesn't work. Well, give it a shot. Maybe it will.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, well,
throw it away.
You're in the same spot as you were before.
That's a great point.
If it does work, now you've got a dream house.
That's right.
If it doesn't work, you're exactly where you are now.
And it was interesting. I was I probably told you this last time, but I was at a show in San Diego, and there's a knock at the door in our dressing room, and it's Tony Robbins. His son wants to meet us, and he comes back, and I'm like, oh my God, Tony Robbins.
This is Jarek?
Yeah, Jarek.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm like, you're the reason I'm here. My group's probably like, oh my God, here he goes. And I'm like, no, really, everything you said. And then he ended up putting me in one of his commercials. So it's just weird how that happens. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I love Boyz II Men. I sat in my basement recording them, and then, here we are on tour with them, 10 years later, 15 years later. It was like a dream.
I think that's what's so amazing about your story and your life and just everything you guys have done with 98 Degrees.
Thanks, man.
You willed this all into existence.
Well, you have to like will it into existence because, like I said, no one's going to believe in it as much as you. And if you really, really want it, you have to really put all of your energy and effort into it. Doesn't mean you can't have balance, but you really have to see it happening. You really have to visualize it happening.
I imagine you also practice gratitude too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that well, absolutely. I mean, even when things are rough, that's when it's the toughest time to practice gratitude.
And the most important.
And it's frustrating to try to go, all right, what am I happy for today? Like I remember, my group quit, and here I am going, oh my gosh, we were just about to get a record deal, and I got to start all over. What can I be happy about? Well, I was like, I'm happy. I'm in L.A. I'm not in Ohio anymore. Yeah. I'm not in cold weather. I'm with my brother. It gives us an opportunity. I was living with my brother at the time. It gives us an opportunity to become close. I mean, I found ways to be. You have to change the physiology of your body. To feel good. Feel good, mentally feel good, because people can read, they can feel your energy, they can feel your nervousness, they can feel your apprehension, and your angst. So you got to find a way each day to make yourself feel good.
And it's impossible to be grateful and angry at the same time.
That's right.
Impossible.
And it's really easy to be angry. I mean, that's one of the easiest things to do is find a way, something to be upset about, some way to complain. And I can't stand when people complain. It makes me crazy. And I complain too. I mean, I'm not perfect, but
I complain about complainers.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Exactly. But that's so funny.
How you said it's really easy to be angry, really easy to complain. It's also really easy to be grateful.
It's equally as easy. And so I think that, if you have that choice, why not choose the other one?
Yeah. Well, I end every conversation talking about gratitude. So what are 3 things in your life, Jeff, that you're grateful for right now?
Well, I'm happy that I'm still around this many years later doing interviews with you. I mean, honestly, that feels great to be talking about good things.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so much out there right now that's negative. I mean, you can go on Twitter and it's just a nightmare, and some of these other social media outlets. So I'm happy that I can come on and really talk about things that hopefully will inspire others. I'm not the most inspirational guy in the world, but it is an interesting story and should be something that, you can look at and go, oh, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it too. That's one thing. I'm always grateful for my family. They're all healthy. COVID, nobody really suffered from that. And I'm happy to be doing things I love for a living. And that hasn't changed for 25 years for me.
Yeah.
So I feel super blessed and grateful that, my job is not even like a real job. It's work, but it's not a job, So I'm lucky I get to go talk about myself and work out and not have a schedule really that I have to go to a boss and report to that as a grind like that. But those are just 3. I got a whole list, but those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
When's the next 98 Degrees show in either LA or Las Vegas?
Well, we just did one 2 weeks ago in Palm Springs, which was awesome and sold out at Casino Morongo. And Vegas, we don't have anything slated. We just got an offer for a little bit of a residency, but I don't think we're going to end up doing it. I know that Nick's now moved to Hawaii because his wife Vanessa got a big role in NCIS Hawaii, so you should check that out. So he comes back and forth, but I think that really the next thing for us is going to end up being mid-July when we can all make our schedules meet, because we're all doing so many different things. And I don't know when LA is next, and I don't know when Vegas is next.
Well, I will be there.
Thanks, man. Well, I'd love for you to see the show.
Oh, my
and
God.
We'll bring you up, and you can sing "I Do," The Hardest Thing, or "Invisible Man," or whatever your favorite song is.
Well, probably I do, but I'll leave that to the professionals.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, and congrats on the new show.